Okay, hi everybody. It is the 10th of July 2018. Let's have a look what's happening in South Africa. I hope it's going well with all of you. Um, yeah, it's been a couple of days, been watching the World Cup. Let's see what recreational violence and crime and murder is happening in a country that should be totally amazing but is totally messed up. Okay, here we go. Got a collision on the highway, more collision. Cultural appropriation of the Afrikaner. That can be interesting. I mean, a person can talk about this over and over and keep on debating it. The Afrikaner doesn't look well after himself in any case, so, you know. They can complain a lot about others, but they don't look after each other. Be upset with me about it, but that is also just a fact. Okay, house robber to arrested, farm attack. Buchenhout, Nylstroom. Another farm attack. Farm attack, young man shot in the chest. Another farm attack. Zuma fired his attorney. Appoints lawyer for Gupta connections. Dodgy man. I should really just lock him away forever. He is so dodgy. The thing is, in Africa, these people are being looked up to. Millions upon millions of people looking up to these hardcore criminals, thinking it's all fine what they do, and striving to be the same, which is really bad. Okay, public protector continues to fight over 900k bill. 900k isn't a lot. I know a guy, he was a psychiatrist that kept on doing court cases for the government, and they owed him like a couple of million after a year and a half. So this kind of stuff racks up quickly, especially if you're in the law, things like that. Good. It's happening here. Woman shoots intruder dead in her home in Somerset West. Good. Yes, every woman in South Africa should have a gun, really. Should all be protecting themselves and the ones around them. Police killer sentenced to life imprisonment. Lock him away forever. Life imprisonment in South Africa probably means like 15 or 20 years. They should really get 40 or 50. It's like no chance of getting out. Ongoing Limpopo taxi violence. So you've got the taxi violence in the Cape, and you've got the taxi violence in Limpopo. Mobs. True gangsters, true mafias, that's how they operate. I will keep on saying it every single day, every time I see this bull. That is what they are mafias. The government let them get away with it, and that's how they operate. Wanted armed robber arrested after skipping bail. Good. Arrow Stokvel Club robbed. Members held at gunpoint. Businessman kidnapped arriving at work. Happens every day in South Africa. All day, every day. There's nothing funny about it. I've got a friend. His brother actually manages a couple of cell phone shops, Vodafone shops in South Africa. So, mobile phone. And their store. Sorry for the yawning, a bit tired. Their store was robbed, I think, like 7 times in 1 year. So every time being held at gunpoint by like a gang of like 4, 5, 6 people. So yeah, that is normal. There's nothing funny about this. Okay, Dudazame Zuma granted bail. Is that the son of Jacob Zuma? Who knows? Home invader who attacks sleeping women arrested. There you go, home invader attacks a 75-year-old lady. That's how it is in South Africa. People in their old age, they're not safe. They're being brutally murdered and beaten up and brutalized, and tormented every day in South Africa. Every single day. Let's see here what happened. We zoom in a bit. Okay, he addressed the crime trio unit, singing all their praises. Probably 75-year-old complainant was sleeping in her house in Schroederville. When the suspect entered the room, he covered her face with a pillow, and once he was close to the complainant, he covered her face with the pillow. He repeated it twice and struck his fingers in her throat to silence her. Okay? He removed the four rings on her finger and walked off. He gained entry by breaking into the bedroom window. So he knew that she had rings on her finger, and then he just left. How does he know about that? Someone had to tell him, he had to see it. This is definitely some semi-inside job. That's normal in South Africa. We never had a maid working for us in South Africa. We never had a gardener either. And we never had house breakings. We didn't have big dogs, we didn't have high fences, we didn't have electric fences, working class house next to a big busy road. Never had house breakings. Our neighbors, they all had gardeners, they all had maids. Every single time they go on holiday, house breakings. Twice, 3 times a year. And they have big dogs, big fences, big bars. So these guys, word goes around and then people break in. Black people are very easily intimidated in South Africa. With, I guess, semi-good reason, A lot of times they get killed. There's reason for them to be intimidated in South Africa, I guess. So, either way, just food for thought. Suspect nabbed with stolen generator in Kimberley. Shopping center armed robbery. Shopping center robbed again. McKinsey to pay back Eskom's 1 billion. Western Cape water restrictions to remain in place, even though it's winter. In winter they should be getting rain. That is not a good sign for the people in Cape Town. I hope it goes better there. Criminals captured by armed response and community. Good. 4 injured in Midrand crash. 2 injured in Krugersdorp crash. Motorcycle critically injured in Hatfield, Pretoria. Motorcyclist dies after being knocked down by Bakkie. Post office strike holds payment to grant beneficiaries. Children too scared to play outside in Ocean View. Children should be too scared to play outside in South Africa. It's really a dangerous place. So many people getting raped. Malema enjoys some colonial sophistication. Probably just taking a jab at Malema there. International IQ survey South Africa borderline deficient. That is no good. That is really not good for South Africa. They really need people to get productive and get sucked into the private economic sector. And they also need to get away from this old socialist mentality where people just think that they can get stuff for free and it's all easy. It doesn't work. Only productivity works, nothing else works. According to the survey of IQs, the population of this country, the IQ is 70 in South Africa. Intelligence, I guess you can debate it. If you've got a good education and a good background, then your IQ should be fairly high. Obviously, if you don't have any education, you can't really read, you can't really write, you didn't do a lot of math, you didn't do a lot of analytical reasoning, then your IQ might be really low. So it doesn't say really that much about your intelligence. A lot of these criminals in South Africa, you would think their IQs is like maybe 70, 80, but they are quite smart when it comes to figuring out crime. Way smarter than some people with IQs of 120 to 140. So, yeah, IQ is just half of it. IQ reflects to some extent also your education. If you did a lot of logic in university, and you did a lot of languages in university as well, then you might say your IQ is between 140 and 150. But in reality, if you didn't do that, Maybe IQ would be 110 to 120. Maybe it would be 90 to 110. So this is all debatable actually. Either way, it is still not good because it still reflects on how bad the education is in South Africa. And that is a big trouble. That is actually big trouble if you think there's so many countries now with average IQ of 101, 102, and that is just because they have a really good education system. It's not really because the people are that much smarter. It's because the country looks so much better after the children and young people. That's why. Either way, just something else there, interesting. Corrupt David Mabuza appointed to regulate land reform. If you have a corrupt person having to do land reform, and he's going to mess it up badly, he's going to be so corrupt. That is just a bad omen. This land reform is the end of South Africa. You can write the country off. That's just how it is. People must be upset. My friends and family can be upset, but socialist ideologies like that ruin countries. That's just how it is. Smart money moves quickly. Look at Cyprus. The day before the bank freeze happened in Cyprus, like a couple of billion moved out of the banks. People that knew what was coming. Durban's highly paid workers and ghost workers. Ramaphosa's flight costs. VBS Mutual Bank director stole 1.5 billion. Ooh. What bank is this? This is actually a bankrupt bank in South Africa now. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of city councils actually are going to pay for all of this corruption. This is a bank that went bankrupt, and a lot of city councils in South Africa actually have hundreds of millions lost because of it. That's bad news. Let's see here. I read the highlight of it this morning, I think. Bank's director stole millions. 1.5 billion rand, that's about $120 million. How can that not be picked up in a banking system? South Africa's banking system is fairly good. It's even better than a lot of European banking systems. Senior official of the PIC has alleged received 5 million in return for VBS having a 350 million credit facility. Wow, that is a bit like Greece getting into the European Union. That is trouble. It appears that Daniel Ziza, the ANC's Limpopo treasurer, as well as ANC's youth league leader in Gauteng, may also be involved in negotiations. Politicians, black politicians lacing their pockets, far left, socialists, no good. But there's probably over R1 trillion already stolen over the last 25 years in South Africa like this, so this is just a drop in the bucket. Body of missing 20-year-old found, body parts missing. That would be witchcraft, sort of mythic kind of stuff happening. So, yeah. Let's see here. Skuna driving school stolen, truck recovered. Yeah, violence, municipal property destroyed. Always the same, man. Protesting and burning trucks, burning buses, burning government buildings, building government council cars, all kinds of stuff like that. It's just no good. Every day. Another 500 people arrested in Limpopo. That happens just about every day in South Africa, and it doesn't make any difference to the crime stats. 4-month-old baby wounded. Shame. In a gunshot wound. It's a number of these been happening with gangs. 23 arrested for cash and transit related crimes, locked them up forever. Ruining lives, making society totally violent. Shop owner brutally assaulted in a robbery, 2 arrested. Lock them up forever. Lock these guys up forever. Brits cluster SAP operation yields success, but the crime stats don't go down. So, what does that say about South Africa? South Africa, black fear, white anger. What? I thought it's the opposite. I thought it would be black anger, white fear. What's happening here? SAP mounted onto help with patrols, Winterfest, whatever. Who will be the victim when they are tired of blaming? Good question. Let's see here what's happening here. There's the two conniving bastards that beat up the shop owner. Lock them up forever. Let's get rid of all these violent people in South Africa. The people that the country can recover. Four men allegedly consisted the owners of 4 men. 2 of them now is arrested when he was locking his business. They hit a 25-year-old male with a bottle over the head and assaulted him with iron pipes. The suspects fled to find a undisclosed amount of money, cigarettes and airtime. No good. No good. That happens in South Africa every single day. Every day. South Africa, black fear, white anger. What does this mean? With the proposed changing of Article 25 in the Constitution of South Africa, many are up in arms and others think it will change the injustice of the past. Fair enough, so I'm guessing that is land reform. But if you look carefully, we can see the criminal minds and the terrorist ANC cabal behind it. Socialist, communist ideologies never work. And these people are actually conniving. It is really bad. The people now running the show in South Africa is big trouble. It's just going to ruin the country further. Black community had land. In the apartheid years, the following land was given to the black community. Yep, I've already talked about it a lot. There is a lot of really good land in the hands of black people in the past. A lot of it. They didn't develop any of it. And then when all this land was integrated back into South Africa in like 93, 94, the big mining companies and the big sugarcane and wood milling companies just took all the land over. The black leaders just pocket some money and the rest of the black people stay in poverty and work for the white man. And while we're saying working for the white man, they're working for the Jewish and the Anglo white man. Not for the Afrikaans white man. The Afrikaans white man is also just working class. They might be well educated working class, but they're just working class. The question is, what did they do with it? As I said before, nothing. So black fear, white anger. For some uncomprehensive reason, black people fear white people. If a white man's business does good, it must be burned. I think that is more tribal sort of attitude. It's not they fear the white man. I think it's more just tribal attitudes. Now, black people, black culture in the past, it's all fine for them to go and rob and raid the towns next to them, as long as they don't go and do the crime to their own people in the past. Now they're all living together, so it's free crime everywhere. But that's a bit how it is. It's more tribal than really fear. This guy's totally got it wrong. He needs to get his head examined. He doesn't understand what he's talking about. It's not very good. You should think after 25 or 30 years of this, and before that 200 years of this, people would actually understand that they're working with tribes here and the tribal mentality. Criminal tribal mentality, or hardcore crime tribal mentality. It's still a tribal mentality, that's how they think. White people are angry, yes they are, and they should be, because the beautiful country that they had and everything they built up is going pear-shaped. But then a lot of them already left and the rest are now sitting here stuck, working class. And the rich white people, they don't employ the other white people, they employ black people, because there's a lot of pressure on that. You can understand it, but it's not good for the white people in South Africa. Let's see here. Black people doesn't understand. They understand, they just don't care. Really. That is the thing people have to do. They have to stop acting like black people need white people to tell them stuff and teach them stuff or whatever, and they should just face the fact that black people don't care about things white people care about. They care about other stuff. And wake up to reality and keep them responsible and accountable for it. They're not children. Okay. Who will be the victim when they are tired of blaming the whites? The Indians, who else? They've already said it on Twitter. After they're done with the whites, it's the Indians. Anybody with anything and any wealth in South Africa will be blamed for their own lack of productivity and their own lack for actually being moral. That's just how it is. Good luck for everybody that wants to stick around for it. If they do want to, the best thing is probably everybody coming together and start protecting themselves against this kind of thing. They have to start standing up for themselves. If they don't, it's a lost cause. That's just how it is. Okay. See you. I think I'm going to stop this one. It's already 20 minutes. I'll do a second one. Woo. Interesting stuff.